Hi everyone, this is Elaine from Quixotic Cards. I'm back with my third video in a little series featuring Warm Wishes Tia by Some Odd Girl Stamps. This time I'm going to be showing you how I colour her clothing, starting out with her hat. I'm going to be colouring her in fairly Christmassy red and green. And what I'll do is I'll go through how I do the colouring and blending on her hat, and then I'll speed up the process for the rest of the video to finish colouring the image, so you don't have to sit through ages of me colouring and chatting. Okay, I'm going to start out with my lightest red shade, which happens to be R13. I'm going to start at the bottom of her hat and just lay down some colour, again sort of mapping out the areas where I want the shading to be deepest so that I can lay my other colours down on top. Moving on to R11, which is my next shade. Just deepening the colour. Back to R13, just going to blend that out a little, using that sort of flicking, feathering motion. Now I'm going to take my colourless blender and the R13 marker, my lightest red shade, and I'm going to use the tip-to-tip blending technique. So I'm going to add colour from my R13 onto the tip of the colourless blender, and I'll use that to blend out towards the area where I want my highlight. It's quite a nice way to get a nice smooth blend. If you haven't got a lighter shade that really works for what you want to do. It's also quite nice if you've got a limited collection of markers to enable you to achieve some good blending and shading. I'm just going to wipe a little bit off the tip on my scrap paper, just for that sort of middle area, the lightest point. Now you don't want to go over your darkest areas with this. It will start to lift away the colour, and that's not what you want. And when you're done, as you can see, you can just wipe the colour off the tip of the colourless blender. I'm ready to go again. And as you can see, I've gone over the line here, so I'm just going to lift that colour out. With the Make It Colour blending card, which I'm using, I find using the colourless blender to correct mistakes and lift out colour is really easy, even with the red tones. On some papers this doesn't work quite as well. That's one of the other reasons why I really like the Make It Colour blending card. Right, now I'm going to go back to building up the colour on this layer. I'm going to use R11 again, just to in that shaded area, and over on this side. And back to R13 just to blend that out. And again with the colourless blender and the tip to tip technique. As you can see, that's giving us a lovely red tone. I'm actually going to use another marker, BR94, for the deep shading. I like to use sort of deep reddish browns for shading the deep areas on reds. It allows you to achieve nice depth. And then blend that out again lightly with R11. And working back to my R13. And then again with my colourless blender with a little of the R13 on the tip. Wiping some more of it off. Don't want too much pigment in that highlight area. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to colour the next stripe on Tia's hat. I'm going to do this with green. So she's got a nice stripy red and green Christmas hat on. My first shade, my lightest shade, is GY59. And again, as I did with the first stripe, the reds, I'm just going to sort of map out my shading. I'm going to move on to my next shade, which is G54. Now this is quite a lot darker than my lightest shade. So I'm going to actually, for blending this one out, I'm going to use this tip to tip with the lighter shade, so transferring just some of the G54 onto the tip of the GY59, just so that I can blend out here without lifting the G54 off, just so I can achieve a nice blend. Then I think I'll layer again here with the G54, and again with the tip to tip technique, just blend that out a little. And then, as I did with the reds on my first stripe, I'm going to use the GY59 with the Colourless blender, again, tip to tip. To blend into that highlight area. So you get quite a soft sort of gradation of colour. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And again, as I did with the red layer, I'm going to use a darker marker to add some deep shading. I'm going to try Y42 for this. It's a sort of it's called bronze green, so it's a sort of olivey green tone, just to bring in a little depth. And again, I'll blend that out with my G54. And again, tip to tip with the lightest shade, just to help blend that out. Remembering to wipe that off. And again with the Colourless blender, again tip to tip with the lightest shade, and just working that forward towards the lightest area. And there you go, that's looking pretty good. What I will do now is go on to colour the rest of her hat and the rest of her clothing and complete the image. I'll speed that part of the video up because otherwise this is going to take forever. And what you may notice that I will do is, once I've finished colouring the entire hat, I may go back in over these areas like I did with the hair and just add extra shading once I can see what the whole image is looking like, because it's quite difficult to sort of tell at this stage. I may want to bring certain areas out more and, you know, have a stronger sort of contrast or have more depth in the shaded areas. So you may notice during the speeded up video that I may go back in over here and just add a little bit more, but I will be using the same colours and the same techniques that I have just shown you. All marker colours will be popped up on the video as a caption, so you can see those for easy reference. And that's it from me. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video.